In this second session on listening, I would like to explore a way in which we can make it practical anywhere, anytime, in the concrete situations of our daily lives. Again, I go back to the sacred scriptures. The God who created us in the image and likeness of the infinitely good and loving and divine is a God who has promised to be with us. I shall be with you. That is the golden thread that holds divine revelation together. It is also a statement of the very essence of God. Our God is a God whose very being is a being with. And we are made in the image and likeness of this one who is with. To be human is to be with. It is a relational life to be human. Jesus is the enfleshing of this one who is with us. And at the very end of Matthew's gospel, we find Jesus put that into words. I shall be with you till the end of time. The person of faith takes this very seriously. The promise of God throughout the Jewish scriptures, the promise of Jesus in the gospel. God is with us. But that same being with is written into our bones. To be human is to be with God. And that being with God sets the context, uncovers the very structure of existence, what it means to be me. Secondly, and this might sound odd on the face of it, but to be with myself. To be there, conscious, alert, awake, listening. Thirdly, it is to be with others as best I can be, attentive, alert, conscious. And fourthly, to be with nature, the events and things of the world, alert, attentive, listening, allowing the graced emergence of my existence, my journey that I call my life, to unfold authentically in the presence of God. Now, in fact, the boiler room, concretely the place to start and the place where we're constantly going to find ourselves having to work, is listening to ourselves. I'd like to suggest one very significant practical thing we can do in order to promote that listening to self. Now, listening to ourselves then clears the way for us to listen more clearly to God and to be in conversation with God without being selfish or egotistical or fearful. Listening to others without being egotistical or selfish. And listening to nature. See if you can hear the difference between these two questions. Supposing you're feeling upset about something, and I ask you, first of all, why are you upset? Secondly, I ask you, what's it like? The why question, the first question, almost inevitably invites your head to answer. This is dangerous. Your head may have some inkling, some knowledge, but there's a lot more to feeling upset than what the rational mind will ever know. The question, what's it like, often has people looking into the middle distance, as it were. They've gone somewhere. It's as if they're within and they're listening. The first question, the why question, often gives rise to quite swift, articulate, grammatically correct analyses, explanations of the situation. The second question, what's it like, often has a person fumbling for words, stumbling over expressions, saying something and then saying, well, no, it's not, no, sort of, it's not like that. In my experience of counselling, I have grown to be very suspicious of the first articulate, grammatically correct, swift explanation. That's the head talking. And that often obfuscates, hides, masks, denies what is actually happening. When I hear somebody fumbling for words, saying maybe it's sort of, it could be, that's more authentic. They are listening to what's going on. They are listening to what's happening. They are paying attention to the other than rational. The art of open questioning is crucial to listening to what is happening. Open questions are questions I ask, but I don't answer. I listen. In our culture, we normally ask questions because we want answers. In this instance, you ask the question because you want to hear. You want to listen and face the truth of what is actually going on. The first open question I suggest you ask to promote this listening: what am I feeling? Listen. Feelings never come one at a time. They always come in cohorts. They are complex. They are elusive. They are dynamic. And it's a good idea to let them be. When you ask the question, you pay attention and shift the questioning. Other open questions might be, what's it like? When did I last feel like this? What sorts of thinking does this promote? Do not answer the question. Face, acknowledge whatever emerges. Not as if it's the final report on what you are actually feeling, but it's part of the process of listening. So if I ask myself, what am I feeling? And I am aware that I'm feeling anxious, I acknowledge that. And I do so in a non-judgmental way. This whole process might best be understood as being present to yourself, accompanying yourself as if you were your own best friend. Your body, your bodily being has an enormous capacity for self-healing. Your head very often gets in the way. The truth that you acknowledge, even if it's in bits and pieces, and if I say I'm anxious, 5 minutes later I might realize, well, no, it's not actually anxiety. I think I'm actually annoyed. Follow the truth trail. Just listen to it gently, non-judgmentally. Allow it to take you where it will, even if it is uncomfortable, maybe especially if it is uncomfortable. The truth will set you free. The truth holds the key to your freedom. And one more thing, something that makes this potentially a very rich, deep spiritual exercise. Jesus identified himself with truth. He said, I am truth. Wherever you discover the truth, potentially you're in the presence of the Lord, the risen Lord, Jesus. So that in using this open questioning to elicit, to enable you to face the truth in your experience, you are actually pursuing a process which fits what St. Paul is talking about. Faith comes with hearing. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's not going to teach you doctrine, but it may, in fact, enable you to understand doctrine. It may help you to understand God and how God works. It will certainly deepen your relationship with yourself on a good footing, with God in truth, in covenant, in that ongoing conversation with other human beings. How often material issues, stuff that I am not aware of in myself, or maybe I am sort of aware of them, but I am in denial, I'm blocking, that gets in the way of my relationships with other human beings. Paradoxically, the way to love, compassion, is through being honest with yourself.